Recorded Books presents Lakelore by Ana Marie Mclemore. Narrated by Vico Ortiz and Roque. Bastián. No one believed it when I said I'd seen the world under the lake. But that could have been for a lot of reasons. The first time I found it, I was 7, and what adults called daydreamy, lost in thought, and other words that suggested my imagination might create a whole world out of the Lakelore I'd heard growing up. If I had to guess why no one believed it, other than how I never could find it when I tried to show anyone, it was probably because no one believed it existed anymore. People around here used to. It was once a given that there was a whole world under the lake, that it was half water, half air, that it was as strange and luminous as being inside a sea foam bubble. All that was just part of the shared understanding of the lake here, the Lakelore. Like fishermen, telling how far out storms were by the tint to the sky, or how las viejas measured the seaches so carefully they could predict them like tides. But as far as I could tell, anyone who took the world under the lake as fact was long gone. The old men gauging the clouds, the old women reading the rise and fall of the water, they were probably the grandchildren and great-grandchildren of anyone who'd believed in the world under the lake. That part of the Lakelore had fallen away, yielding to talk of where opposing winds were likely to make whirlpools, or sightings of perch as big as horses. The world under the lake sounded so impossible that no one even made up stories or bragged about it, the way they would about seeing ghosts along the western shoreline, or spotting giant prehistoric fish that looked like a cross between dolphins and lizards. There was no one else here who'd seen the world under the lake, or who even pretended they had. Then I met Lore. Not that I knew their name yet. Not that they did, either.
Lore. The worst mistake I've ever made is bad all on its own, but I never think of it on its own. Some mistakes come in sets, and my worst mistake had a part 1 that came 7 years earlier. It was on a field trip to a nearby lake, where we were supposed to learn about aquatic and terrestrial biomes. Some of the guys were climbing rocks to see if they could spot high school girls in bikinis on the nearby beach. The rest of us were either studying the craggy shore, looking out for loons — everyone wanted to see their red eyes — or trying to figure out how far we could wander during lunch without the teachers and parent chaperones noticing. Then there were the few of us clustered close to the volunteer guide, a whipped cream-haired woman wearing hiking boots and carrying a pocket guide to the local plants and animals. "If the answer's not in here," she tapped her forehead, "we'll find it in here." She thudded the corner of the book against her palm. One girl wanted to know if there was really a vanishing lake in Ireland. "Yes, Lakelore," the woman said like the words were a song. "One day it's there. The next, it's nothing but mud." A boy asked if lakes had tides like oceans. "Yes and no," the woman said. "We have seaches, which can look a little like tides, but the moon doesn't set the schedule." I asked how much water was in the lake, ready for the thrill of an unfathomably big number. Then I heard Merritt Harnish's familiar laugh, and my body did what it always did at the sound of Merritt Harnish's laugh. It drew in, like a lake snail curling into its spiraled shell. I shrank away from the group clustered around the guide. Later, during lunch, Merritt and his friends were still laughing. "What, so you're smart now?" he asked. It was, I guess, hilarious to them that someone who could barely read out loud wanted to know things. He made sure all the adults' backs were turned, and then started mimicking the halting, stuttering noises I made whenever I got to a word I didn't recognize. The heat in my face
Sample complete. Ready to continue?